Hello and welcome to Rainmaker's Journey. I'm Rainmaker. Um, so I had done a little announcement not very long ago, um, and I just recently put one out about this video that I have some exciting update to do for this particular channel, and this is that exciting update. So, as has been previously mentioned in these videos, I had diagnosed myself uh, with borderline personality disorder, and this was through the approval of my therapist that I was seeing at the time. Was really neat because I came to the session and was like, okay, new thing. I think I have BPD. And I had like a little PowerPoint kind of thing. Actually, it was literally this notebook uh, that I have here. Um, it was what I had done. Oh, I told her that, and she's like, wow, I was actually at this session going to ask you if you had ever looked into that as a possibility. I'm already ahead of it. Okay. And so, yes, so you need to have, there are 9 traits of borderline personality disorder, and you must have at least 5 or 6 of them. I forget which specific number, 5 or 6, of the traits documented to be considered as someone who has that personality disorder. Um, and my information came from a video by Dr. Romani, and I will have that link in the description of this video. Check it out. If you don't know who Dr. Romani is on YouTube, and if you never heard of her or you follow her, she's a really great place to get information on narcissism and BPD and other things of this in that world. That, that's what's going on. What do people use the word wheelhouse? I don't know. Something like that. Anyway, highly recommend Dr. Romney. So that's where this information came from, a video where she's talking about the 9 traits of BPD, and diagnosis. And so what I did was I went through that video, I watched it and was like, wow, yes. And then what I did was I wrote a list of all of the different traits, all the information she gave. I wrote all of this down. And then what I did was I went through and I marked each trait, whether I had experienced it before, first of all, and or do experience it, and whether I had experienced it more as a child than now as an adult, or more now as an adult than as a child. And I also had uh, 3 anecdotes from my life to illustrate for my therapist that trait. And I came out with about 6 of them. So yeah. Um, Also, I had in my past, in my childhood, and I may have talked about this in my videos, that I had been diagnosed with bipolar, manic depression, bipolar disorder as a child. And I was diagnosed with that when I was, I believe, 12 or 13. And I had been put on lithium bicarbonate, 180 milligrams of lithium when I was 13 years old. And I was admitted into a mental hospital to have that blood tests every other morning to regulate that, I guess, to figure out like what is the level. It didn't do anything for me except make me very thirsty. It is a salt. It didn't help me at all. In my educated opinion, um, my bipolarism was due to a off balanced, I don't know if it was under or over, possibly underproductive thyroid gland. Um, I This ties into a topic about my Turner syndrome. I'm kind of just on the edge of Turner syndrome. I did have some testing with that. That is another topic, but I believe that there was something tied in with Turner syndrome, or, well, I have a malformed chromosome. We'll say that. Um, and the how that would have affected my thyroid. And I think that something imbalanced with my thyroid had led to the bipolar symptoms. I have a lot of other ideas about that too, but I will maybe get into that in another video. I want to focus on the BPD thing right now. Right. So, because I had previously had symptoms of bipolarism, I followed the same process that our doctor used in diagnosing my teenager. So my teenager, I had come to them for a diagnosis of autism. And so my doctor was like, okay, there's a lot of overlap between autism and ADHD. So some of what it sounds like could also sound like ADHD. So why don't we do this? It's easier to diagnose ADHD, so let's do testing for ADHD, treat the ADHD, and then kind of basically remove those symptoms, and then look at what's left, and then see if that looks like ADHD or what that looks like. So that's what we did, and it was very effective. And yeah, more on that another time. There was additional follow-up I did over the next year after that a couple years after that diagnosis, and we found sluggish cognitive tempo. So there's that complete story there. Over here, yeah, I applied the same principle. What I did then was I went and looked at another video of Dr. Romani's. I'm not sure if that was on her channel or if that was an interview with her on Med Circle, which is another great YouTube channel I follow. So it was one of those. I'm not sure, but I was getting information about bipolar disorder from different places. I was also getting information about BPD from other places, but I primarily like the way that she listed in this video. Dr. Rahman listed in this video the traits of BPD and talked about it. This particular video was the one that I used primarily for this exercise for myself. But I had been looking into this with other in other places, websites, as well as people presenting on YouTube. So yeah, what I did was I went through the symptoms of the bipolar disorder and went through that checklist, and I was like, I don't have any of those symptoms. I haven't had any of those symptoms, like, I'm 48 now. I haven't had any of those symptoms since like my mid 20s. And it was my early 20s and in my mid 20s where I was self teaching with shiatsu acupressure. And then later, some years later, like when I came back to town after Hurricane Katrina, I became a licensed massage therapist, and I had formally trained then in shiatsu with the acupressure and the meridians and all that. And then I was like, oh, all of that stuff from the book I was learning at that time, now I really understand it. And I absolutely balanced myself. I healed my own bipolar disorder through acupressure. Absolutely, I did. And so, yeah, so I took out all of those symptoms. Okay, that is not there. So what is left over, that's the same process that our primary care provider did for the diagnosing with my teenager. So, yeah, so I'm going to go through the traits. There's fear of abandonment, There's unstable interpersonal relationships. This is like, can look like rapid attachment, have a roller coaster feel, um, make any kind of relationship at all. Um, I'm not sure what that note was about. Identity disturbance, and it can look like multiple personality disorder. So those three I did experience. Impulsivity I have experienced. Uh, it's not mania since it fluctuates. It can include self-soothing habits, um, and you're like distracted, and you allow yourself to be distracted, and you're not addressing the problem. So suicide attempts and self-harm, I have experienced that. Affected instability, which is like mood shifting in a very short time, always act in line of your emotions. Can easily have a bipolar misdiagnosis. Hyperactivity. Um, yeah, and then that also I experienced. Now there's another one, chronic feelings of emptiness. I didn't ever really experience that. And then the inappropriate, intense shows of anger. I very much experienced that a lot, unfortunately. This is throwing, screaming, yelling. It can be quick and intense, violent. Uh, could have a really thin skin, hypersensitive to emotions, feeling regretful of anger, terrified afterwards of abandonment, will get angry with yourself, leading to possible self harm. I very much had a lot of that. That was like one of my worst traits. And then there's another one, transient stress induced paranoid ideation. That's a mouthful. Um, I never experienced that one. That's one I did not experience. Under significant stress, may experience paranoid delusion. They will look psychotic. Disassociated, dissociative identity disorder. It can look like multiple personality disorder. Um, yeah, I didn't really ever experience that. Just looking at my notes. Yeah, so okay, so that is all of about that. So the exciting thing though is I recently, now it's been about, I think, probably 4 weeks, because this would have been my appointment before this last appointment I just had. Like back when I first made the announcement that I'm gonna do this cool video because I'm excited about this. Okay, so it's been a minute. I've had a lot going on, but I'm making the video now. Really excited. Um, I don't have BPD anymore. That's what this is. We went through all of the traits. I discussed this with my therapist. I went through all these traits, and I was like, yeah, she was like, I don't see you having any fear of abandonment. I don't see you responding in that way anymore. She's like, I don't see you having unstable interpersonal relationships. The way that I have been handling my friendships and whatever, personal, intimate, business, professional, any type of relationship, I'm the way I'm navigating my friendships, my relationships, the way I'm communicating in them, and the sense of boundaries that I have, and the boundaries, respecting the boundaries of others, my own boundaries, holding myself to boundaries, holding others to boundaries, doing so in a balanced, stable, grounded fashion. um, that is what I am now. And so that's really awesome to hear that validation, because I felt that way about myself. Yeah. I might get a little emotional, just FYI. Um, and then the identity disturbance. Nope, none of that. And that was really more when I was a kid than now as an adult anyway. But I have still questioned and just been searching for myself. But that's kind of also a little bit normal that people do that. And so the difference here is that I am now in the normal realm of discovering oneself. However, I've actually gone the next level because I've had this feedback from more than just my therapist, actually. But I have a much more stronger sense of myself. What it is that defines me, what my ideals are, things like that. This is feels really good to hear this. Um, Impulsivity. So, yeah, I'm still impulsive, but it's much milder and not as disruptive. It's kind of more like a fun spontaneity now. But let's also think about this for a minute. um, but the impulsivity, I still interrupt a little bit, but I've gotten very, very much better. Very much better. Yes, I like it anyway. Very much better than before. I am not as disruptive with that. Much more respectful, able to hold myself back and contain myself when I want to burst out with something. That's the response inhibition is an executive function that I have had challenges with. Yeah, there's another video I need to do sometime about. I'm questioning my ADHD ideas. I'm questioning my um, executive dysfunction things. I just recently brought this up with my therapist. But this would be a good video to do another time. Let's see. Uh, no more suicide thoughts, attempts, self-harm. It was really over the last few years, well, before the last few years when I was struggling a lot with my toxic relationship, um, that I would sometimes have these impulsive feelings, being very stressed out and overwhelmed and be driving on the interstate and just like imagine causing a wreck and then hopefully being destroyed in the process. Yeah, dark thoughts, great times. Um, but I haven't been there in that place in my head in hmm, at least a year or two, about maybe almost 2 years. My throat's very dry. Um, Affected instability? Not at all. Not at all. So much more grounded. Um, and then the inappropriate, intense shows of anger, and this is the notes that I wrote. Very infrequent. This is what my therapist said. Very infrequent. I am over it faster, like so fast. Not nearly as severe, and it's easier for me to transition out of that mood. So this is a significant improvement, and she was like, that's kind of really more in the realm of normal. That's closer to normal. Like when, people will get upset about something shocking and then phew, over. Um, and I'm much more easily able to catch myself. Um, my kids like it. I like it. And yeah, so that is that announcement. That's what's up with that. I am over my BPD. I have worked incredibly hard with my therapist um, to overcome these bad behaviors and to be able to get a hold of myself and have better self control. Um, what I attribute this to is working with, first of all, I wanted to. you have to want something really bad. You have to want it, and you have to not ever give up. And I did a lot of grounding techniques and I think maybe I've done some videos about this. I'll have to look and see because it's been forever since I was in this channel. I'll have to go see what I've already posted. But a grounding technique is the classic, sit on the ground or wherever you sit and have a cord going down your spine into the ground, and then have another cord up your spine going up into the sky, and you can do, you're anchored. Standing on the grass barefoot, or even just touching it with your hands, touching a tree, touching a rock, having your feet or your hands in like a running water outside. Any touching the natural, touching the earth, touching something in the earth, with your bare skin. There's actually a discharge of electrons and all of that, or something like that, particles, and it changes it shifts the electromagnetic energy of your body and balances and grounds you, literally. And this has been so helpful for me in releasing overwhelm and being able to like clear my mind and focus, get out all the bad kind of feelings when I need to shake something off. Working with my crystals, using my acupoints. I know I did a video about this, and my favorite is the kidney points. You find your collarbone, and there's going to be right down inside the collarbone is a kind of a little hole you'll feel in the muscle, little spot, and you just go right in there, and that's your kidney meridian. And kidney meridian is attached to the kidneys and kidney bladder, and kidneys sitting on top of the kidneys are your adrenal glands. So if your adrenaline is up, pop that button and it will bring that adrenaline down. That was my first real step, was doing that. When I get high strung with emotions and I'm feeling like I'm going to have an outburst, or I'm going to cry, or whatever, I'm reading something that's making me emotional out loud and I need to contain myself, to read it publicly, I do this. Yeah. And then, my crystals. I know I did a video about this with the fire quartz, the hematoid quartz. That really was a game changer for me. I no longer have that crystal. I met someone at the Fairy and Human Relations Congress this past July, who I gifted to. And that crystal, though, was really a game changer for me. Sitting with the crystal, feeling it, and then the sense of calm and grounding that it would give me would flow into me. And then I would know that's what that feels like. And I could relax into that feeling whenever I needed to quit ground and get a hold of my emotions. I would hold that and feel the energy of it bring me to that grounded, balanced place where I can look at the emotions, where I can analyze the emotions, where I can think about the actions that I was about to impulsively take, and then make better choices. Becoming still, and then thinking about it, being able to do that was so important for emotional regulation. that is emotional regulation. That crystal taught me how to emotionally regulate. And so over time and working with that crystal and practicing that, having that feeling, it's like a muscle memory. The more often you come to that place, the easier it is to come to that place. And so over some time, I didn't need to have that crystal to hold it as often. So if I was out one day and didn't happen to have it on me, I could remember what it felt like to what that felt like and come and bring myself to that place. Um, this is why I felt like I could let go of that crystal to gift it to someone who also could benefit from it in that way. Um, it was easier for me to go buy another one if I really needed to than it was for her to go buy one. So it was perfect. Um, and yeah, I can still bring myself to that place. Um, Also, black tourmaline, any black crystal I have right here, an elite shungite is very good. A selenite, which actually clears energy, cleansing energy. So I use it mostly to cleanse my crystals. I have them sitting here. These are some that I've been working with a lot. I have them on this little pouch that I carry them on. Have them sitting on here like that. Okay. This is my black tourmaline. Black crystals absorb negative energy. So if you're like in this mood and you cannot get out of this angry, pissed off mood and you've got to chill super fast. You could have any of these crystals, any black crystal I have. I have a little piece of jet as well. Those are good. A smoky quartz. My smoky quartz. I've got crystals all over the place. Here's the smoky quartz, my smoky quartz. Any black crystal will absorb that, and you just use your receptive hand. So I'm a left-handed dominant person, so I would use my left hand to put to send. It's like the sending energy, and then my non-dominant hand is the sensitive hand where you're receiving. Um, so if I was working with a crystal I wanted to receive the energies from, like the fire quartz, I would hold that in my right hand because I'm left-handed. And then if I wanted to send something, like I want to put all of this anger into this crystal, that's what I would do, is hold it in my left hand. And I just feel it draining out of me, and I'm just okay. That feeling is gone, and then I can just sit and just come back into engagement with people and do much better. Yeah. So that's about that. I think that's good for now. Well, thank you so much. I really hope this video has been helpful for you. It is, I fully believe, possible for anyone to heal anything in themselves. I really do. It takes time, patience, and effort, and sometimes open-mindedness. It takes an ability to forgive yourself and, yeah, to go easy on yourself. All right. Have a good day. This has been Rainmaker's Journey. See you next time.